In January, Israel agreed to a ceasefire after 16 months of committing genocide against Palestinians. Just because the ceasefire is currently in effect does not mean it's time to go back to normal. Keep following the BDS boycott, keep donating to fundraisers and aid organizations on the ground, keep sharing updates. The occupation must end. And do not forget about the genocides in Sudan and Congo, which have been happening for over a year as well. For those of us who do not endure these horrific circumstances, we must do what we can to help. COVID is still here, it's still dangerous. Even if you're healthy, it's still killing thousands of people every week and infecting and hospitalizing many more. It can still spread from individuals who are asymptomatic, and asymptomatic cases can still cause lasting damage to your health. There's a vaccine for new variants that came out a few months ago, so now is a good time to get that booster if you have the ability and you haven't done so already. Bird flu is also becoming a growing concern now. Please use caution when around livestock and when consuming animal products. Please continue masking or start masking again if you've stopped. Stay safe. So this is basically just like a half-baked rant because I watched season 2 of XO Kitty and I was really displeased with the direction things seemed to be going in, and I want to complain. But I also want to hear other people's thoughts because, again, my thoughts aren't fully formed. So for anyone who is unfamiliar with the show, but decided to listen to me ramble for, 20 minutes, it's a spinoff of the To All the Boys trilogy from Netflix. And this focuses on Laura Jean's younger sister, Kitty. Kitty decides to go to KISS, an international high school in Korea, because she misses her boyfriend, Dae. I won't bother to relay the full plot of the first season, but after spending time at the school, Kitty realizes she has a crush on Dae's friend Yuri, who is a lesbian. I was ecstatic when the show made Kitty's crush explicit because I truly wasn't expecting the show to actually go there and to have Kitty be anything other than straight. And the way a lot of their scenes are framed in the first season, it really felt like the show was setting Kitty and Yuri up to be the main ship. But of course, as the show is very tropey and dramatic and chaotic, things can't be that simple. Dae's roommate and best friend Minho, who has been very antagonistic towards Kitty up until this point, realizes he's developed a crush on her. And he spends a few episodes in denial about this. It doesn't really feel like something that we should take seriously, because Kitty could not seem less interested in him, from a romantic angle at least. And Minho's dream sequence that makes him aware of these developing feelings is played for a joke. Like, it's literally just there for us to laugh when he wakes up. But the season ends with Kitty and Dae breaking up as she admits her feelings for Yuri to him. Kitty attempting to confess said feelings to Yuri and choking when she sees Yuri reuniting with her girlfriend Juliana. And finally, Minho confessing his feelings to Kitty. So while Minho and Kitty do get into some shenanigans together in the first season, and his dream about Kitty does appear to lead Minho to realize that he wants a serious relationship, in my opinion, their dynamic never felt that central to the story. Like, the relationships that stood out to me as, like, the most important were Kitty and Dae, Kitty and Yuri, and then Kitty and Alex. Alex being one of the school teachers that Kitty quickly befriends. And he also has a subplot about finding his birth parents as he is adopted. So imagine my surprise and frustration and disappointment when all three of these dynamics are shoved to the background in season 2, and almost everything revolves around Minho. But I'm not here to complain about how the random and annoying plotline of Minho reconciling with his narcissistic bully of a father sucked up literally a third of the season, nor am I here to complain about how Alex was reduced to comic relief and had maybe 20 minutes of screen time the entire season. Nor am I here to complain about how Minho inexplicably became the most important person in Kitty's life. No. I'm here because we need to talk about how the show treated its sapphic characters. So let's start with the canon couple, Yuri and Juliana. They have been a couple for a while, being forced to keep their relationship a secret last season. The first season shows Yuri pining after Juliana as she has moved to another school, and bonding with Kitty once they learn of their mother's friendship, getting close enough that Juliana seems to suspect Yuri might be crushing a bit on Kitty. Yuri's reassurance that there's nothing between her and Kitty is that Kitty is straight, so not the best defense for denying your feelings. But anyway, Yuri is completely oblivious to Kitty's feelings, and while I would argue that Yuri absolutely does have romantic feelings for Kitty, she is currently unaware of these feelings. Yuri and Juliana reunite in the finale, as I said, with Juliana returning to kiss, and the relationship is seemingly accepted by their families at this point. So while we saw very little of their dynamic in the first season, I did like Yuri and Juliana, and I was curious to see how their relationship would progress in season 2, to see what it looked like when they didn't have to worry about hiding it from everyone. But it turns out that the show isn't all that interested in their relationship. Practically every scene they share is actually about Kitty's crush. How excruciating it is for her to be roommates with the cute couple, how Juliana is insecure because she senses Kitty's crush and fears that Yuri might reciprocate, or the narrative trying to make Kitty look like the superior choice, as she is seemingly more in touch with Yuri's emotions. And then, of course, the writers implode Yuri and Juliana's relationship by having Kitty and Yuri kiss. But I'll get into that in a moment. So, as I've already said, Kitty realizes she has a crush on Yuri. She is canonically and explicitly bi. The promo for the second season emphasizes Kitty's interest in dating girls and how she wants to move past her crush on Yuri. And I was excited to see her date because, again, I didn't think the show would allow for Kitty to be anything other than straight. But Kitty saying she's interested in dating girls goes nowhere. So let's talk about Pravina, the character who is introduced to be Kitty's love interest. I loved what we saw of Pravina, but I have to be honest, she is a non-character. They meet when Kitty is trying to keep distance from Yuri and they sit together at assembly. They then quickly develop a flirtatious rapport and Pravina asks Kitty out, leading to a club date that's cut very short as Pravina realizes Kitty's crush on Yuri and tells her that she doesn't want to be caught in the middle of things. Kitty reassures Pravina that nothing is happening and a second date is secured. Except, said second date is them breaking into an archive room to steal a time capsule, and Kitty spends pretty much the entire time alone with Minho. So we have some mild flirting, a date at the club that lasted 5 minutes, and a date where Kitty spends the entire time with someone else. It's really not a great start to what the promo has been drawing attention to as Kitty's big relationship of the season. Also, she literally invited Yuri to go on this recon mission, and it's just, God, it's so insulting that the writers literally have Kitty refer to this as a date when she was inviting people to join them. Like, this is already a rant. I'm not going to go on a tangent about how much that pisses me off. Anyway, after the recon mission, Kitty invites Pravina on a group ski trip, and she becomes really avoidant once they're at the cabin because she feels guilty and confused after the kiss with Yuri. And then, of course, it comes to light that Kitty and Yuri kissed, and Pravina understandably ends things. And then she basically doesn't exist to the show anymore. So, like, thanks for that, writers. Cool. So now let's get to the Kitty Yuri mess. In the first couple episodes, Kitty is constantly venting to Q about how excruciating it is watching Yuri and Juliana together. But she also wants to continue being supportive of Yuri and often acts as her confidant. Yuri is still in denial about Kitty having feelings for her, even after Kitty comes out, and even after Juliana voices concerns about how close they are. Things really come to a head when Yuri promises to come to Juliana's art show, and ends up missing it because she is preoccupied with helping Kitty track down a VCR player to rent. Anyway, after Yuri and Juliana have this fight, and they are taking space from each other, Yuri ends up at the dorm, and she watches the videotape of Kitty's mom with Kitty. Unsurprisingly, the videotape ends up making Kitty very emotional, and when Yuri reassures Kitty that she's going to help her find her family, they somehow end up kissing. Which, Yuri is the one to initiate that, by the way. And the kiss just makes no goddamn sense on Yuri's end. Like, she's oblivious to Kitty's crush. She is unaware of having feelings for Kitty. She's with Juliana and she spent so much time fighting for that relationship. Like, it doesn't make sense for Yuri to be initiating a kiss unless she is coming to the realization that she likes Kitty and wants to pursue things with Kitty. Like, it's a forced plot point unless that's her reasoning. But the next episode, she wants to act like the kiss never happened and says it's a mistake and remains completely committed to her relationship with Juliana, even refusing to accept that Juliana has broken up with her and avoiding Kitty upon learning of her crush. They obviously make up before the season ends because the show doesn't like to let conflicts last for more than like 2 episodes. But Kitty claims she is no longer interested in Yuri romantically, and they resume their friendship acting like nothing happened. And it just feels very weird and inconsistent how season 2 plays out. The setup leads you to believe that the Kitty Yuri dynamic will be a primary focus, but once the writers decide they have wrapped up their story, which they haven't, they just kind of decided to abandon it. Basically, everyone involved in that plot thread is no longer important. As I already said, Pravina basically vanishes. She has like maybe 5 minutes after she calls it quits with Kitty. Like, it's literally like Where's Waldo to find her in the remaining 4 episodes. It's so odd. Juliana is occasionally around because she's Kitty's roommate, but she doesn't really do much besides have a talk with Q where she agrees to forgive Kitty. Minho is suddenly and randomly shoved into being Kitty's partner in her attempts to reconnect with her family, while Yuri is primarily reduced to pining after Juliana and spending some family bonding time with Alex. So, great that Yuri went from being pivotal to the A-plot to a background character. Thanks, writers. Thank you. So yeah, nothing but a mess for the sapphic characters. It honestly felt like there was a palpable discomfort with showing female-female intimacy from the writer's room, given we weren't allowed to see Yuri and Juliana as a couple. We couldn't even get a proper date for Kitty and Pravina. And then the fucking Kitty Yuri kiss, which happened basically to expose Kitty's crush, and then was followed by the show backtracking and practically erasing the crush. I don't really keep up with social media, so I haven't seen anything myself, but I have heard claims that there was backlash towards Kitty and Yuri from viewers, which would explain the pivoting away from their relationship, but it's just so disappointing if that's the case. And if it isn't, then these decisions are even more mind boggling. And um, also, I was saying this in my reaction videos, so Patreon plug, I'm sorry. um, but it really feels like the Kitty Minho relationship was being pushed because the writers felt like they needed to push her and a guy into a relationship. And Day isn't an option because she just broke up with him. Like, they can't have Kitty dump him because she realizes she likes a girl and then immediately get back together with him. Like, that doesn't make sense. That'd be the most pointless thing ever. Um, and they can't have Kitty and Q in a relationship because Q's gay. So that Minho is the only option. Like, I literally think that's the reason the show went so hard on her and Minho, because it feels. I said I wasn't going to complain about this, but I'm sorry. It is so fucking weird to me. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It didn't make sense to me. They have good chemistry. I'll give them that. But it was out of nowhere, in my opinion. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rambling. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts and opinions because I just found season 2 really perplexing, and I'm still kind of in disbelief over the direction things went. Anyway, please leave a comment and tell me how you felt about season 2. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.